I'm gonna show you the structure of an essay. There are three structures of an essay. The first one is introduction, that contain hook, background info, and the thesis statement. The second one is main body, that contain main point and supporting point. And the third one is conclusion, that contains summary, restatement of thesis statement, and prediction or suggestion. The hook sentence of introductory paragraph in the essay is, I like football, whether it is played between two international teams or local teams, as long as the teams give their best on the field. While we can identify the background information of introductory paragraph in the essay. The thesis statement sentence of introductory paragraph in the essay is, the sporting event that I would like to talk about was a national club football tournament in my country that takes place every year. So we're gonna move on to main body, that contain main point and supporting point. The main point of first paragraph is, anyway, the football match took place about 5 years ago, when two of the best football clubs of my country played against each other in a final match of the national football tournament. The supporting point sentence for main point 1 is, the two arch-rival teams has already clashed against each other in the past, and their number of wins was pretty much the same throughout the history of their clash, especially in this tournament. So essentially, nobody really knew which team was favorite to win the final. The main point 2 sentence of main body paragraph in the essay is, but when the game actually started, all the supporters of both the teams were screaming and encouraging their respective team as if they were bound to win. The supporting point sentence for main point 2 is, as a supporter, I also wanted my team to win at all costs. Anyway, both teams were playing very rough and tough football that led to some unwanted fouls and some unfortunate fistfight. The main point 3 is, the game continued scoreless up until the half-time interval, but as the second half of the game started, the intensity of the game increased. The supporting point sentence for main point 3 is, in the meanwhile, I was getting nervous in stadium because my team wasn't exactly playing up to our expectation. Then, suddenly, the ball was passed to the main striker of my favorite team from nowhere, and a goal was scored by my team, leaving the supporters of my team completely ecstatic and crazy with the feeling of a possible victory. And in the end, we were indeed the victorious team. The second supporting point sentence for main point 3 is, in fact, my team was lucky to survive a few scoring chances from the opponent team. The third point sentence for main point 3 is, then suddenly the ball was passed to the main striker of my favorite team from nowhere, and a goal was scored by my team, leaving the supporters of my team completely ecstatic and crazy with the feeling of a possible victory. Next is concluding paragraph that contained summary, restatement of thesis statement, and prediction or suggestion. So the summary sentence of concluding paragraph is, anyway, I consider that sporting event to be interesting because we never know which team is going to win. Besides, I consider this sporting event exciting also because it attracts supporters from all over my country. Finally, it is interesting also because no other sporting event makes us as emotional as this one. And the restatement of thesis sentence of concluding paragraph is, finally, it is interesting also because no other sporting event makes us as emotional as this one. And the last one is prediction or suggestion. The prediction or suggestion sentence of concluding paragraph is, anyway, I consider this sporting event to be interesting because we never know which team is going to win. Thank you. That's all for me.
Okay everyone, let's move on to the second part of the analysis. I would like to explain you whether all the sentences within the paragraph are connected or not, and if they are connected, what makes all the sentences connected with cohesive devices such as final words, pronoun, repetition, and deletion. Let's start from the introductory paragraph. So in introductory paragraph, there are two sentences. As you can see here, sentence 1 and sentence 2. So both sentences are connected. Why? Because first sentence tells about the author who likes football, and the second sentence tells about the national club football tournament of the author's country. So both sentences are talk about football. And the cohesive devices for these two sentences is repetition. And then let's move on to the main body paragraphs. So in main body paragraphs, there are 3 paragraphs. Let's start with the first paragraph. As you can see, there are sentence 1 and sentence 2. So both sentences are connected. Why? Because in the second sentence explains about the clash between two of the best football clubs of the author's country that previously mentioned in the first sentence. So the first sentence, it only mentioned about the clash between two of the rival clubs, while in the second sentence it explains more about the clash. And let's move on to the next sentence, sentence 2 and the sentence 3. So both sentences are connected too, because the second sentence explains that two rival teams had pretty much number of wins in the history of their class. So the third sentence tells that because of that reason, the reason that previously mentioned in the second sentence, no one really knew which team was expected to win the final, because based on their history, they had pretty much number of wins. And then let's move on to the second paragraph of main body. There are sentence 1 and sentence 2. Both sentences are connected. Why? Because the second sentence tells that the authors has the same feeling as other supporters, which want to support their team to win at all costs. So as you can see, in the first sentences, all the supporters of both teams were screaming and encouraging their respective team as if they were bound to win. And then the author, the Andy, also tell that he, as the supporter too, wanted his team to win at all costs, the same as the other supporters. And then the sentence 2 and the sentence 3 are connected too, because the sentences explain that not only the author as a supporter, not only Andy, that wanted his team to win at all costs. Even both teams also were playing rough and tough to win the match. So the third sentence explains that both teams also were playing rough and tough, means both teams were playing harder. Not even the supporter that wanted the team to win at all costs, but also the teams had big effort on it. Okay, let's move on to the third paragraph. The third paragraph has 5 sentences. Let's talk about the first and the second sentences first. So both sentences are connected because as you can see in the second sentence here, the author was getting nervous because his team wasn't playing up to his expectation, while the intensity of the game of the second half game is increased because the first half of the game was scoreless. So the first half of the game was scoreless. That's why the second half of the game intensity is getting increased. That's why the author was getting nervous because his team wasn't playing up to his expectation in the first half. That's why it was scoreless in the first half of the game. And then let's move on to the next sentence 2 and sentence 3. Both sentences are connected too. The author's team wasn't playing good as his expectation, as you can see in the sentence. But his team was lucky to survive a few scoring chances from the opponent team. So, even though the team wasn't playing good as the author's expectation, but his team was lucky to survive a few scoring chances from the opponent team. And then let's talk about the sentence 3 and sentence 4. Both sentences are connected. Why? Because the third sentence tells that the author's team was lucky to survive a few scoring chances from the opponents. Then the fourth sentence tells that how the striker of his team got the ball and scored a goal that caused the supporters become ecstatic and crazy. And the cursive device for the sentences are signal words and repetition. And then the last one is sentence 4 and sentence 5. Both sentences are connected too because the fourth sentence tells that his favorite team scored a goal and the supporters were feeling of a possible victory. Then the fifth sentence tells that their team won the match. So the fourth sentence tells that because of that goal, the goal that's scored by their striker, the supporters feeling the supporters feeling a possible of victory because they have scored a goal. Then at the end of the match, they won the match. They become the winner, the victorious team. And so this is the conclusion. I think I could say this is the conclusion of the main body, the connection between the paragraph. So all the paragraphs in the main body are connected. Why? Because they talk about one topic. It is football, about football match, the sequence of the football match between two big rival teams. So the first paragraph begins with the explanation of the history of both two rival teams. Then the second paragraph explains how the supporters encouraged and wanted the team to win at all costs. Then the team also were playing rough and tough to win the match. And then the third paragraph explains that the first half of the game was scoreless. Then in the second half of the game, his team scored a goal. And finally, Andy's favorite team became the winner of the match. Next, we will talk about the concluding paragraph. So the concluding paragraph. There are 3 sentences in the concluding paragraph. The sentence 1 and sentence 2 are connected because both sentences explains that the author he considered football tournament to be interesting as the first sentence mentioned and exciting as the second sentence mentioned. And the cursive devices for the sentences are signal word and repetition. And then the sentence 2 and sentence 3. Both sentences are connected too because besides exciting as the second sentence mentioned, the author concluded that the football tournament is also interesting because it makes him so emotional. And the cursive devices for the sentences are repetition and signal words. Thank you.
Now, I would like to show you the sentence categories in each paragraph in the text what we have analyzed. There are 4 categories of sentences. The first one is simple sentence, the second one is compound sentence, the third one is complex sentence, and the last compound complex sentence. Okay, next to introductory paragraph and first sentence. The sentence read, I like football. whether it is played between two international teams or local teams as long as the teams give their best on the field. The sentence is complex sentence because there are one independent clause, that is, I like football, and two dependent clauses, that are whether it is played between two international teams or local teams as long as the teams give their best on the field. Okay, next to the second sentence, the sentence read, the sporting event that I would like to talk about was a national club football tournament in my country that takes place every year. The sentence is simple sentence because the sentence contains only one clause, that is independent clause. Next to the main body paragraph, the first paragraph and the first sentence. As you can see here, the sentence is complex sentence because there are one independent clause, that is, the football match took place about 5 years ago, and one dependent clause, that is, when two of the best football clubs of my country played against each other in a final match of the national football tournament. Next to the second sentence. As you can see here, the sentence is compound sentence because there are two independent clauses that are connected with coordinating conjunction, that is and. Okay, next to the third sentence. As you can see here, the sentence is complex sentence because there are one independent clause and one dependent clause or adjective clause. The sentence read, so essentially nobody really knew which team was favorite to win the final. Okay, next to the second paragraph and first sentence. As you can see here, the sentence is compound complex sentence because there are one dependent clause and two independent clauses that are connected by conjunction. The dependent clause here is when the game actually started, and the dependent clause here, all the supporters of both the teams were screaming and encouraging their respective team as if they were bound to win. Next to the second sentence. As you can see here, the sentence is simple sentence because there's only one clause, that is independent clause. The sentence read, as a supporter, I also wanted my team to win at all costs. Next to the third sentence. As you can see here, the sentence is complex sentence because there are one independent clause and one dependent clause. The independent clause is both teams were playing very rough and tough football, and the dependent clause is that led to some unwanted fouls and some unfortunate despite. Next to the third paragraph and first sentence. As you can see here, the sentence is compound sentence because there are two independent clauses that are connected with conjunction is but. And the second sentence is compound sentence too because there are two independent clauses that are connected with conjunction because. And the third sentence is simple sentence because there's only one clause, that is independent clause. And the fourth sentence is compound sentence because, and the fourth sentence is compound sentence because there are two independent clauses that are connected with conjunction and. And the fifth sentence is simple sentence because there's only one clause, that is independent clause. Okay, next to the concluding paragraph and the first sentence. As you can see here, the sentence is complex sentence because there are one independent clause, that is, I consider this sporting event to be interesting, and one dependent clause, That is, because we never know which team is going to win. Next to the second sentence. The sentence is complex sentence because there are one independent cause. That is, I consider this sporting event exciting also. And one dependent cause. That is, because it attracts supporters from all over my country. Next to the third sentence in concluding paragraph. As you can see here, the sentence is complex sentence because there are one independent cause and one dependent cause. The independent cause is it is interesting also, and dependent cause is because no other sporting event make us as emotional as this one. And then that's all what I can deliver to you all. Thanks for the nice attention.